But I don't know. And his body shots, man. What you think about the body shot that everybody talking about that Barrios landed? That was pretty. That seems to be the talk of the night more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, like you said before we made our prediction video, you was like, he looked good to the body. He was chiseled. He looked more defined in his midsection than he normally does. So me and you both was kind of like, he done put some work in there because he knew that was kind of his soft spot. And lo and behold, the first true body shot he took, he got hurt seriously again by a 140-pound fighter, and had to run around the rest of the round to escape. And that pretty much was Mario Barrios' first best round. But the fact of the matter is, we both know Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence are dynamic body punchers. So it was a telling sign again, man. Like, I don't see anything different with Keith Thurman. Like, I still think he got the same issues, except like you said, you can see the age is starting to play a factor. Like, he's starting to slow down. It could come from the accumulation of injuries. Could come from the age, the layoff, or maybe all up together. But he's not the same as he was 4 or 5 years ago when he had beat Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. He's not quite that same fighter. So, like I said, I think he's still a player in the division. But as far as the elites, I wouldn't choose him to win either one of those fights.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I know what you guys came here for. Y'all see the title of the show. The title of the show is Can Tank Davis Stop Keith Thurman? You mentioned that the top welterweights was great body punches. You mentioned that both Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence are dynamic body punches. Crawford has some stoppages to the body. I think he stopped Ndago to the body with a crazy uppercut to the body. Tank Davis has a lot of. I think he stopped Barrios with a body shot. He dropped him down for the second time with the body shot. Can Keith Thurman take that same shot that Barrios took when the Tank gave? Do you see Tank finishing him, or do you think that body shot would end the fight?
See, that's the thing right there, because I know there's been a debate since the fight started. Can Keith Thurman handle Tank Davis' power? No, he cannot. I don't think he can handle the power, but I can get Keith Thurman this. He know how to survive. So if you ask me, does Tank Davis have the power to stop Keith Thurman? He does have the power to stop Keith Thurman. Mario Barrios apparently had the power to stop Keith Thurman because he had him hurt. But if you ask me, this gonna go to another question, and we'll go more in more in depth about it, because I'm gonna want to hear your answer. But I don't think he can beat Keith Thurman. I think he can stop him, but I wouldn't pick him to beat Keith Thurman. And I know you'll respond to that, and then I come back. But just for the first part of your question, yes, Tank Davis can stop Keith Thurman.
I think he can. I think he would. That Keith Thurman that showed up Saturday night, Tank would beat that Keith Thurman. He would beat that version of Keith Thurman. Do I think Keith Thurman can improve on that? I'm gonna say yeah. I didn't give up all hope on Keith Thurman from this fight, even though we said we would in the pre-fight. We was like Keith Thurman had to stop Barrios early, or he wasn't gonna be a player in the welterweights. That still reigns true. That still reigns true when it comes to other welterweights. Tank's not a welterweight. Tank is nowhere near welterweight in my opinion. He was a scratch at 140, so he's kind of comfortable at 130. But in my opinion, he's still at 135. But in my opinion, he's still a 130-pound fighter. In my opinion, because of the height and his range. But Keith Thurman's not that tall either. Keith Thurman is what 5'7" ish, so he has maybe an inch or two over Tank. Keith Thurman does have a reach advantage, and he has an athletic style. But Tank has an athletic style too that he uses when he wants to. And he's an assassin. If you really break down the fight, him and Keith Thurman has similar styles in some degree. They just land different punches. Keith Thurman won't look to land the heavy hand or the overhand rights and the hooks, while Tank looks to land uppercuts and body shots. So style makes fights. That version of Keith Thurman, man, he was slow. He was in the pocket too long at some points. And man, I'm gonna be honest, man. That would have been food for Tank. That's the reason why Leonard Ellerbe and Tank was looking for that fight. That version of Keith Thurman would have been food for Tank because he would have went to the body early, I believe. And even though Barrios was hitting the body early, you can kind of tell Keith Thurman was eating him a little bit. That shot he caught Keith Thurman caught him by surprise, and it took the wind out of him. I think Tank has a lot more speed and explosiveness than Barrios, and that shot would have came in early in the fight, and he would have had He would have had Keith Thurman on the bicycle so much that the referee the Kenny Bellis probably would have threw the towel in on him. You know how Kenny Bellis is allowed to step in on fights sometimes when you're not fighting back. He's not going to run the way he was running from Barrios. He's not going to do that with Tank for too long. What you think about that?
I think you are incorrect. I think this is the thing. You said that Keith Thurman didn't look good. He looked bad. You gave him a C- for his performance. And through all of that, he still dominated Mario Barrios as far as the scorecard. I mean, he pretty much won probably 10 rounds to 2 on most people's scorecards, 9-3 maybe. But he pretty much won the majority of the rounds. And you said that his reflexes are slower. He's not as explosive. His in and out game is not the same. But he still won the majority of the rounds. Whereas Tank Davis, he was in a close fight up until the 9th round. Mayweather told him he was losing the fight. He turned it on and stopped him, but he was having trouble with Mario Barrios at the beginning of the fight. So if Mario Barrios can outbox Tank Davis or make it a close fight, I think Keith Thurman is a better boxer, in my opinion. And I think, even though I think Keith Thurman would get hurt in the fight 2 or 3 times, he done showed me he know how to survive, from Collazo to Manny Pacquiao to Mario Barrios to somebody that's caught him in the body, Sean Porter. He's been hurt on 4 or 5 different occasions, and he found a way to survive. And most time when he would survive, he come out the next round and he can reestablish himself. So it'll be more of, can Tank Davis catch up to him? So if he can't catch up to Keith Thurman, and if Keith Thurman can box around him and stay on his feet and win the rounds, he gonna win the fight. It's gonna be another mark on Keith Thurman, because it's gonna look like, well, it ain't gonna look like, it is gonna be 130, 135 pounder running 147 pounder around the ring. It's gonna look horrible for Keith Thurman, but the fact of the matter is, I think he still can get that W.
I disagree with you. Like, style makes fights. I'm gonna say that out the way. Style makes fights. The reason why it seemed like Barrios was having success with Tank was because the height and reach advantage was strongly on Barrios' favor. Strongly. So Tank had to fight somebody at a different weight he's never been at, somebody at a different height that he's never been, and in a different range. And Barrios stayed on the outside most of that fight. He boxed well on that fight. He sat down when he needed to sit down in hard spots, and that wound up getting in trouble in the later rounds. But the reason why Mayweather said, Tank, you losing it, because Mayweather knew that you had to knock him out. You had to knock Barrios out. He trying to sell pay-per-view. He trying to sell Tank to start. So that's really the main reason. But when you look at the fight and break it down, the fight was even to that point, in my opinion. But judges got different opinions on it. But this is why I think Keith Thurman would have been a lot easier. Like I said, the height is closer, the reach is closer. That version of Keith Thurman wasn't really prepared for a real fight, in my opinion. This is why they picked Barrios, because he's a lighter puncher. People made a big deal about the gloves being 2 ounces heavier, so that had something to do with it also. People was complaining about Barrios wanting to wear 10 ounces, wanting to keep to wear 10 ounces because he didn't want to feel the heavy punches. But you gotta look that Barrios had 10 ounces on too, so Keith Thurman wasn't really feeling the heavy punches from him. And when you think about that, think about who stopped, who hurt. I'm not gonna say stop, but who hurt Keith Thurman to the body. Which one of those guys are known as heavy punchers? Collazo's nowhere near a heavy puncher. Sean Porter is not a heavy puncher. But these guys had him running around the ring from a body shot. You talking about Tank Davis, who is a heavy puncher. Barrios is not a heavy puncher. And in my opinion, Manny Pacquiao, who was the heavy puncher in that fight, he could have stopped Keith Thurman if he didn't gas out. He hurt Keith Thurman to the body bad, to the point Keith Thurman took a step back. And Pacquiao just sit there and stared at him. Like, he looked at him for a good 2.5 seconds, just looked at him. Pacquiao didn't have the gas to catch him. If that was a young Pacquiao, he would have stopped Keith Thurman. And I think Pacquiao has the same stature as Tank. So you have to look at that also. So I'm saying, if the young Pacquiao would have stopped Keith Thurman then, that version of Keith Thurman we saw this Saturday would have got stopped by Tank Davis in the same fashion.
You made me think of another question before we wrap this up. If you're a matchmaker for Tank Davis, would you consider, if let's say Keith Thurman say, hey, we could do 50-50, it'll be a pay-per-view fight, they'll make good money. If you want to meet me at 147, we can make that fight. As a matchmaker, would you give Tank Davis that fight? Let's say Lomachenko is moving his feet slow, and the other 135 pounders are doing ring around the roses like they've been doing for the last 3 years. And Tank Davis say, I'm moving. Would you move him up 2 weight classes to fight? Being that you remember what happened to Roy Jones? He moved up in those weights and then tried to come back down, and he won't quite the same. Would you risk him going up to 147, knowing that long term he can't stay there and fight Keith Thurman and then come back down and risk, affecting him as far as his career long term? Or would you not entertain that fight?
Yeah, I would entertain that fight. Like you said, for that reason. Even though Tank is a lot younger than Roy when Roy did it. Roy was pretty much on the back end of his prime when he went to heavyweight and came back down to light heavyweight. Tank is still in his 20s. Yeah, he's still young, but like you said, that's a lot of weight. While Tank does walk around heavy though, Tank probably walk around between 150 and 155. So he wouldn't have to cut weight for that fight. So really it's kind of not the same, because you gotta look, Roy, he bulked up to heavyweight. He had to eat, he had to put on muscle. I think he said he put on like 30 pounds of muscle or something like that to bulk up to heavyweight. Tank wouldn't bulk up to 147, now that I think about it. So I don't think it would affect him that much, to be honest. I don't think it would affect him like Roy. He would just have to not cut weight as much as he normally does. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you. I was just throwing it out there because, some people believe when you just jump up a couple weight classes like that, then when you try to go back down, it can give you a long-term effect as far as how you perform at that smaller weight class. Because once you get, adjusted to that new weight class, it's hard to go back down. But like you said, because he's a younger guy and that he walks around probably 165 pounds, 60 pounds, I don't think it'll be a huge deal. So like you said, I'm intrigued by the fight, man. If they willing to make that fight, if he can't get what he want to get at 135, and he just want to just prove a point to the world, and if Keith Thurman is willing to take that risk, it will be an intriguing fight. I say that.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Leonard Ellerbe want that risk anymore. I think the reason why they was calling out Keith was because Keith was coming back from a 2-year layoff. Now that Keith is back in the gym and back working again, I don't think they're gonna be in a rush to put Tank in there with him now. You know what I'm saying? It depends though. It depends on what these pay-per-view numbers did. Because from what people saying, the crowd wasn't that heavy in there. They kind of pulled everybody to the front, so it was all front heavy, and the top of the crowd was kind of empty. So we'll see what the numbers come back. I'm expecting the PBC to lie about the numbers just because they want to keep their that option of keep having Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence. So they're gonna lie about the numbers, in my opinion. But I want to see how low they are. I want to see if they're gonna try to make it as low as Crawford Porter was, or make it lower than that. You got anything else to add to this topic?
No, I think we covered it off right now.
All right, man. With that being said, man, let us know who you agree with, man. You agree with me saying that Tank Davis could stop that version of Keith Thurman, or do you agree with Monty saying that Keith Thurman would have been boxing around the ring and running around to avoid getting stopped by Tank Davis? Pretty much. With that being said, man, this is your favorite chowder, man. This is CTB. Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Say peace to him, man.
All right, everybody. Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment. Let's keep this channel growing. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing. But most of all, God, peace, and love, and we out of here. Peace.